Welcome all. In today's video, I give a haphazard summary of Splatoon lore to my two friends Michael and Kevin, who are brand new to Splatoon, just in case if they ever wanted to start the story, they at least had a base knowledge of the Splatoon story up to this point. I start off a bit slow in the video, but progressively get more into it as the video goes on, and my friends have some pretty funny reactions to the unexpectedness that is within the Splatoon story. However, one thing to note is that in this clip, this is still from my first two streams when I was figuring out audio levels, and as such, my friends' voices can be inaudible at times compared to mine. To remedy this, I have included subtitles for them throughout the video. I may have missed or skipped a few things they said, but they're mostly all there. Now, without further ado, let's get to the video.
So check it out, right? Check it out, okay. Splatoon starts in our time. Okay, but that's when humans are alive. And humans are much further along technologically, but mainly militarily, as 4 world wars have occurred.
Oh. Yeah! A bogus!
There's this cat, shows up that's named Judd, the fat cat. He's the one that's sleeping on the bench in the lobby. It discovered that he's really good at deciding who's going to win something, right? So the country's vying for ownership of this cat because he's really good at deciding the outcome of where to drop nukes to be the most effective. So there's this scientist that owns a cat. I forget how he goes about owning the cat, but he loves the cat, Judd. And he makes him immortal, and he wants to cryogenically freeze him because he loves this cat. He wants to have him survive past humans because he knows the world's about to end. And just in case, he takes a little bit of DNA from Judd to make a new Judd named Little Judd. He'll wake up later, and he doesn't wake up until Splatoon 2. He's when the match is decided, he's the other little cat. In the 5th World War, during the 5th World War, one country decides to drop a warhead so powerful onto Antarctica that it melts the entire continent.
You guys hold that.
And, oh yeah. And world's flooded over, humans become extinct. The professor was also going to cryogenically freeze himself, but it failed or something, or he woke up earlier. He's not alive anymore.
That's fun.
So, and then it zooms forward towards our time, but during the 0 year, let's say, where the beginning of the mollusk era, as they call it, where
Birth of Christ.
The sea creatures like squids start to come onto land and get humanoid forms. The same with octolings. And also a lot of the jellies and the salmonoids and stuff, but the octolings and the inklings are the ones that become humanoid and were the most advanced. And first they were allies. The inklings and octolings didn't have issues with each other, and they also did participate in turf wars because there's this old art in the museum in one of the maps that shows an old turf war where Judd was also still there judging the winners of turf wars, but it was probably different because their weapons look different.
Judd really is bad judging fucking arm paint in
Yeah.
games specifically. He's wrong.
Oh, where was I? God damn it. Okay. Oh yeah, so since the sea levels are still rising, the amount of land is shrinking. So an actual turf war gets bringed up between the octolings and the inklings. This is how the animosity starts, because they're both vying for control of the land. So this big turf war starts, and the octolings are way more technologically advanced than the inklings, so they destroy them. They also wake up earlier than the inklings, so they kill them in their sleep.
Okay.
The inklings are just getting destroyed. Also, because during the turf war, the only reason inklings live in normal turf wars is because the spawn points suck their souls back, but if they die out there, they die for real. And they have straight up weapons of mass destruction. You fight a lot of them as bosses in the story modes. But eventually, Splatoon is formed. It's called the Squidbeak Splatoon. That's where the name Splatoon comes from. It's formed by Captain Cuttlefish and Alfonso Schellendorf, and then 2 random inklings we don't know the identities of. And Captain Cuttlefish is the old man that is the main guy in the story in all of them. Well, besides 2, but we'll get there. And Alfonso is the grandpa of the weapons guy in all the games.
I forget it's Sheldon Sheldendorf. And they have Judd on their squad. I don't know how Captain Cuttlefish presents Judd anyway, so that squad carries the Inklings to victory. But also the Inklings just made like straight up war crime weapons. As it's shown in the comics, like they make like bio weapons and shit to also help them win.
I can't fucking know the story if they use the Mario characters like they're testing it out. It wouldn't have been the story, it should have been about the video game.
Probably. So yeah, so the Inklings win, and the Octolings are banished underground into these kettles, and these kettles were left over from the humans who tried to make like these underground metal domes to live in to survive the apocalypse, but it didn't work. So the Octolings go down there now,
Jed, you're fucking dumb.
forever plotting their revenge on the Inklings and trying to take back their leader. By the way, is DJ Octavio. It's the giant octopus you see. And we only ever see him as an octopus, but he does have a humanoid form. You see like one art piece of him as a human. But he chooses to stay in his octopus form.
Base.
So yeah, so the Octolings lived underground in Octoling society, an Octarian society, and they put like screens up in their kettles to simulate the outside world, whatever.
Reminds me of home.
Reminds me of.
Did they have 4K?
Switch. Yeah.
What about 8K?
Okay, so fast forward a bit to like the year 2000 or whatever. So Callie and Marie are like 6 years old, and they participate in this youth folk singing competition where they perform the Calamari incantation and win, and that's where they get their start as the duo. By the way, they did not create that song. It's actually a cover song because it already exists in the lore. It's like an old folk song in Splatoon, and it has special properties that nobody can special properties that nobody could explain. It like gives Inklings power, like all sea creatures power. It's like a huge confidence boost.
That's just how
Listening to that song like changes your outlook on life.
Okay.
What happened?
Oh no, it changes your outlook on life. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It completely changes the lives of people who hear it. So anyway, presumably not the same competition, but there's another youth folk singing competition where Pearl is. She's the oldest of all the idols, by the way. She's like 26 in this game. But
the short one, right?
yeah, that's the shortest one, the one that swears canonically. She also participates in a youth folk singing competition, presumably not the same one, because her voice is super powerful. Like, it destroys everything around her powerful. So when she sung at the competition, she destroyed the venue.
Okay.
That's me when I sing anyway.
Okay, now fast forward to the actual first game, where the best character, the main character from Splatoon 1, Agent 3, she lives in like the countryside. She always had a longing for the city of Inkopolis, so she moves there in Splatoon 1. That's the character you play as. And then when she gets there, she notices an old Inkling, Captain Cuttlefish, go down in the sewer, so she follows him. And then he recruits her to be a part of the Squidbeak Splatoon. Or actually, you know what? I skipped past the important part. So Zapfish, you collect them in the story mode, and there's also a big one on top of the tower. If you paid attention to the first news segment, you notice that they say that it's gone. Because at the beginning of every Splatoon game, the great Zapfish is gone. It's like the huge Zapfish that goes around the tower. It powers a bunch of the city. And Zapfish are just power. Zapfish have like this pact with Inklings where they just help them out. I don't know what they get out of it. Nobody knows. It's certainly not protection because they get stolen by the Octarians all the time. But yeah, so the Octarians steal the giant Zapfish and also like a bunch of little ones. So that's why Captain Cuttlefish recruits Agent 3 to help him get back the great Zapfish, which has been stolen by Octavio. And she is Agent 3 because Agents 1 and 2 are Callie and Marie. It's never explicitly stated, but it's obvious. And so it goes through the main story, whatever. They get all the Zapfish back. Cuttlefish gets captured or whatever. And then you fight DJ Octavio at the end. And then Callie and Marie show up and sing the Calamari incantation to help you win. It like powers Agent 3 up.
whatever. And then but also it's revealed later that during that boss fight, when they sing the Calamari incantation, a bunch of Octolings heard them singing it, including Marina, which is the Octoling idol from Splatoon 2, and Agent 8, which is the Octoling main character from Splatoon 2, which is important. But a lot of Octolings heard it, and it made them want to have a longing for the surface, to like join the Inklings and leave Octarian society. Because before there's also this point of contention that I don't think people agree on. I feel like it's probably a mix of both. So like Octolings have these goggles, right, in the first game, that they have like this armor too. They all wear the same thing, and it's presumed that like some people think that the goggles are like hypnotizing. Like Octavio created these goggles to make it so that like Octolings would believe in Octarian society, that they're the best. It just like mind controls them, you know. But some people don't believe that. I think it's a mix of both, because Octolings are like brought up to believe in Octarian society. That like that's their entire lives. They get put into military like at age 6.
Classic.
So yeah, but so it makes them have a longing for the cities or whatever. They get the Zapfish back, all's well. But now that Marina has heard that song, she has a longing for the city, and she hears one of Pearl's songs. And she immediately becomes infatuated with Pearl's voice and wants to join her. And Pearl's been searching for some musician to go along with her voice, because her voice is too powerful for any other musician. And Marina sends her like a demo tape, and she likes it, and they get together or whatever. Okay, Splatoon 2. The main character Splatoon 2 is Agent 4. She was always from the city, so she doesn't really care. And she was like in a suburb. So she didn't really have a longing for the city, but she goes to the new hub area. Is still in Inkopolis in Splatoon 2, but it's called Inkopolis Square. She goes there to participate in turf wars, and then she sees Marie dressed up in like a kimono and shit with her umbrella go down in the sewer, and she follows her. And then she's like, "Oh, I know you probably recognize me, but don't fangirl." And Agent 4 having it's explicitly stated later, like a chart, that they focus on extracurriculars throughout their life, so they pay no attention to idols and stuff, and has no clue who Marie or any of them are. And that just reminds me, I skipped past the whole important part because of the Splatfests.
Me playing video games my entire life and not paying attention to any fucking...
Yeah, pretty much that.
Did they pull Kojima on for this game, or what?
Wait, I completely forgot. Okay, so go back to Splatoon 1 for a second. So the Splatfests are decided by printer, like this printer that prints out the topic, right? Or no, it's like a fax machine. It's left over from human times, and it's explained that the Splatfest like topics, like what versus what, is decided by like radio waves that are bouncing back from human times, like all this time in the future. But that doesn't track with a lot of them, so it's kind of up in the air if that's true or not. But that is what's stated. So anyway, at the end of Splatoon 1, they had the Marie versus Callie Splatfest, and Marie won. And they were like, it wasn't like shown like in the game, because Callie was just like, "Oh great, you know, I'm happy for you, Marie." But they actually got like a bit of a rivalry between that, and it's put a rift between them, because Callie and Marie both like went solo for a while, did their own solo things. Like Callie did solo concerts, and Marie had her own talk show. They didn't really talk a lot anymore.
It's like Drake and Josh.
Yeah, so they started to drift apart, but they still like worried about each other. So anyway, Marie goes to visit her parents, and they ask her how Callie's doing, and she realizes she has no idea what Callie's doing, and it scares her. So she wants to go back and see Callie right away so they can start hanging out again. And Callie's supposed to meet her at the train station to hang out, so she waits at the train station for a while. She doesn't show up. She's like, "Oh, Callie, you know, she probably just overslept again." And then she doesn't show up for like 8 hours, and she's like, "What's going on?" And she's completely missing. So this leads up into Splatoon 2. So she goes back to Inkopolis, sees that Callie's missing. It's like a huge news story. And tries to go to Captain Cuttlefish to help her find Callie, but Captain Cuttlefish is gone with Agent 3 out on a mission. So they're not there. So that's why she has to dress up in a kimono and find her own agent. So when Splatoon 2 starts, they say the Zapfish is missing again because the Octarians stole them, and they also say Callie's missing. But since in Splatoon 1, by the way, when they saved the Zapfish, they did not tell anybody. Like, nobody knows what actually happened. All the Inklings just believe, like, oh, it just came back one day. So when it starts missing again in 2, they're like, oh, I'm sure it'll just come back again. And also when Callie's missing, they're like, oh, well, sure, she'll just turn up. Who cares? Plus L, plus ratio, plus no Ruby. So Agent 4 shows up. Callie, or not Callie, Marie recruits them to help get the Zapfish back, and she also thinks by helping out getting the Zapfish will show her where Callie is, because she has a suspicion that the Octarians took her as well. So you go through the story, Splatoon 2, getting all the Zapfish back, and then a brainwashed Callie starts like talking to you. She's brainwashed by these hypno shades that all the Octolings wear, so that's another point for the because instead of the goggles that they had in Splatoon 1, now they have shades, so that's another point for the using another hypnotism, yeah. But like people argue that they're like, oh yeah, but it's just special classes for Callie. The other ones are hypnotizing. It's like, you know, whatever. Shut up.
Damn, okay.
But you get to the end or whatever. Yeah, she's been hypnotized. Marie shows up with Sheldon driving a goddamn truck. He knows how to drive. Marie has her sniper because that's her signature weapon, the Charger. She snipes the hypno goggles off of Callie. And they do a remix of Calamari Incantation. Agent 4 wins. Blah blah blah. You save the Zapfish. Octavio's defeated. Okay, now Octo expansion.
Hope you're gonna clip this and upload it to your channel. Just need a review for later.
Yeah. So now Octo expansion happens. I feel like I might be forgetting something else, but I'll remember it later if I am. I just killed 3 people. I'll try to think of that. So, since Agent 3 and Captain Cuttlefish were missing, they're still missing at the end of the story in Splatoon 2. So that's where the Octo expansion picks up. You wake up as an Octoling, you can hear like faintly the Calamari Incantation playing. You wake up in this underground subway with Captain Cuttlefish like shaking you awake, and he's like, you get up, you were in a battle with Agent 3, and there was like some unknown foe that attacked them and it separated them all. So Agent 3 is gone, and this Octoling is now with Captain Cuttlefish, and they agree to join forces to escape. And they go to like this telephone in this subway. There's like this telephone there, like some, I don't remember if he has ghoul. No, he doesn't have ghoul on him right away, but he starts talking and he's like saying, you are the next agent to participate in the challenge to go to the Promised Land. You're participant like number 10,008. So that's why Captain Cuttlefish nicknames the Octoling Agent 8. But like, so these challenges are to get the Promised Land. They assume the Promised Land means, you know, the surface. So you have to go on this subway. I already forget the name of the subway. But it's the conductor is this cucumber. The conductor is this cucumber named Sea Cucumber. And he's there to go with you on like every challenge, because this subway has like 90 stops. But the phone tasks you with collecting the 4 things. That's actually what it's called, the 4 things. And once you collect the 4 things, you can go to the Promised Land. So you don't actually have to do all the challenges. You just have to go where all the 4 things are and do those challenges. But you still have to do like at least 50. So Sea Cucumber joins you on these challenges, and if you fail, he detonates the bomb in your backpack and kills you. So now Agent 8 is tasked with going through this to get her and Captain Cuttlefish out. Oh, by the way, so
Jesus.
All the main characters, there's no, since you could be like a boy or a girl, it's not explicitly stated ever which gender they are, but there's media that shows both. But I'm just gonna say for every agent, it's always predominantly female. The media, like there is art that is made for the male variations, but there's a lot less than for the female variations.
Yep.
He's the Inkling girl that's like the main face of the game. So.
Yeah. So, well, also when they're in this subway, they like, I forget, I think it's a laptop that's just like sitting there, or no, it's like a walkie-talkie, and it's Pearl that comes in, like asking like, oh, who's there? Because they just found her and Marina just found like this random walkie-talkie and it's connected to this car, and then her and Captain Cuttlefish have a rap battle, and then she's like, all respect, and then she's like, and then Pearl and Marina agree to help them like make it out to the promised land. And Marina's never heard about this subway, so that's important to take note because it's assumed that Octolings use this to get to the surface. But she's on the surface herself, but she doesn't know about the subway. So you start going through, you collect the 4 things, and it's suspicious. Every piece you get, you suspiciously start to think, huh, this kind of looks like you're making a blender. And so when you get the 4 things, you go back to the phone. Also, let me say, you can see like a bunch of messages from Marina and Pearl, like conversations they have with each other and with Captain Cuttlefish. And it's Pearl doesn't know that Marina's an Octoling. She finds out in those messages because Inklings are pretty dumb. They assume, like, when they see the Octolings with their, you know, different hair because they have the suckers on them, they're like, that guy just has weird hair. They don't know they're Octolings. But you know what, maybe that just shows they have manners because they're like, they don't go up to people and be like, yo, what's wrong with your fucking hair? But yeah, she's like, you know, Marina, I don't care. You're still my girl, you know, because all the young Inklings haven't been around for the actual turf war, so they don't have racism. And Captain Cuttlefish is, like, you know, since he was, like, part of the Squid Beak Platoon, he's kind of racist against Octolings, but the reason he likes Agent 8 is because Agent 8 also lost all their memories, by the way, in the fight. And because she likes the Calamari incantation. Captain Cuttlefish says any fan of that song is a friend of his.
Racism cure.
Yeah. And that's also revealed in those messages. Pearl canonically swears she has like a dude that's called fucking dudes be fucking. And it's actually beeped out in the little demo track you can hear. Okay, you collect all the things, you go back to the phone.
Do be fucking.
Oh no, okay, before you collect the things, like when you get 3 of them, Captain Cuttlefish is like, I'm gonna make a wanted, or like a what's it called? Like a missing poster, there you go, for Agent 3. And pin it up so somebody can, and this subway, so somebody can help us find them. And then that's when you like get to decide what your Agent 3 looks like what your character looked like in the first game. They're a boy or girl or whatever. So you bring all the 4 things to the phone. And it's like, now I will assemble the machine that will take you to the promised land. And it makes a blender. And they get inside. And then Marina comes in. When the blender starts to turn on, she's like, guys, is it just me or does this not look like a fucking blender? And these guys are about, Captain Cuttlefish to Agent 8 are about to get blended. And she's like, oh no, this is not good. And then like Marina's like, I'm going to send a distress signal to anybody nearby to come save them before they die. And then Agent 3 busts through the ceiling, destroys the blender, but also gets knocked out in the process. And then the phone like goes rogue and has like a bunch of goo. It's revealed that this phone is called I already forget its fucking name.
Oh, fucking blender.
What's its name? I don't remember. Okay, it's a goo phone. It has like this space goo. It's sentient. Okay, it was created. It's revealed later on that it was created by the professor who created him to instruct like the next intelligent life forms of the mistakes of humanity, so they wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. But it became lonely after 10,000 years and it went insane. And every like somewhat intelligent being it came across, it decided wasn't good enough, and that made it angry. So it would blend them up.
Understandable.
Yeah, and it's also revealed during this that when you first get into the Octo expansion, I forgot about this. You fight like these Octolings that are like blue-green, like their skin is green and their tentacles are like blue-green, and you cannot detect life signatures from them. And it's revealed later that they are sanitized. This phone has been like submerging Octolings in this goo that completely takes away. Yeah, it completely takes away your free will. It basically makes them zombies. And it's not just Octolings, all the Octarians, like the little minion enemies too. So he sanitizes them. And so he's using those sanitized to make his own like perfect life forms or whatever, because he can't find one good enough.
Head of the hedgehog.
So when Agent 3 comes down and destroys the blender, gets knocked out, Captain Cuttlefish is like, I'll stay here
until Agent 3 wakes up. You go on ahead and they're like, yeah, you should go through the hole in the ceiling that Agent 3 make to get it to the surface, and then that's when you have to go through all the kettles, which are named after parts of the human body, organs of the human body. It's basically like you're going through the human body, and that's important later once you get to the end. So anyway, during these kettles, if Agent 8 dies, they for real die. That's canon. That's why whenever you do die, all of them freak out on the comms, and you restarting is just you traveling back in time. That's what the creators. This is what the creators have said. Yeah, literally that. They do a parody of that. They're like, Agent 8! Agent 8! And so Agent 8 makes it out, gets to the surface, and it turns out you're on a statue. And that's why it's a statue of a human. I forget what it's based on, but that's why it's important that the kettles are human organs, because, you know, it's inside of the statue.
We're in their fucking base.
Pearl and Marina show up with like their swarm of helicopters to come like rescue Agent 8 and Captain Cuttlefish and the rest. But the goo phone comes back from inside the statue and is like, I'm gonna blow up the entire damn world with my sanitized ink, because you Inklings and Octolings cannot inherit this world. So Marina's like super smart, by the way. She developed a lot of the Octarian weapons and stuff. So she devises this plan to use her new super powerful ink bombs that if they discover that the statue is solar powered. So if they ink the statue enough, if they completely cover it in paint, it won't have enough power to destroy the world. It'll still have enough power to destroy Inkopolis, but they're going to use Pearl's voice to combat that and save Inkopolis. So Agent 8 has to they throw all the bombs onto the statue, and Agent 8 has to detonate them in 3 minutes before the laser fires. So she does that, and then Pearl uses her super powerful killer whale, which is like the huge speaker special from Splatoon 1. She screams into it with her powerful voice and fights back the laser, like in Dragon Ball Z. She says booyah. Her laser wins, and they destroy the statue. And then Agent 8 goes onto the helicopter. Agent 3 wakes up, and then all happy music plays. They did it. They saved Inkopolis. Yeah. And then after that, Octolings, like in the droves, start migrating to Inkling society. And also, it's confirmed that Octolings and Inklings speak different languages. So the Octolings spoke like Starfire when they first came up to the surface. And it's confirmed when you use the amiibos in Splatoon 2, they talk like Starfire when you can actually see their text. But yeah, a lot of the Inklings weren't aware at first if they were actually Octolings, because they don't recognize the different hair.
I just want to point that out. I popped off.
Yeah. Good job, Kevin. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Okay, and then at the end of Splatoon 2, they have the final Splatfest, which is Order versus Chaos. Pearl is on Chaos, Marina's on Order. And like this was like a huge deal. It was the longest Splatfest. It lasted for 3 days. The developer was like, this will decide the future of Splatoon. And when they were doing it in game, Pearl was like, the loser has to live in the world of the winner's choosing. And they had like this whole artwork with like all the different agents, who was on whose side. Agent 4 was on Chaos, and Agent 8 and Agent 3 are on Order. Also, Agent 8 has like fangirls over Agent 3 a bunch because she thinks she's really cool, so that's probably why she went on that side. But Chaos wins, and then, you know, like to strike down any theories about like, oh, now that Pearl's team won, Marina and her are gonna split up, but they're like super gay, so they're not gonna split up. They love each other. They don't care who won. Yeah.
I've seen that much.
Yeah. Like Marina, especially Marina, because in like the latest relationship chart, they use the kanji for infatuated, like actual love between her and Pearl. So yeah, they're super gay.
Like that explicit?
Yeah, like pretty explicit. But that's for Marina towards Pearl, specifically. But so Chaos wins,
And now we go to Splatoon 3. We're in the Splatlands. Now that Chaos is won, that's why we're out in this desert. It's branded as the City of Chaos. Okay, wait, no. Addendum. It's Splatoon 2, the mode Salmon Run, because it's also important to the plot, starts up. It's child labor. These Inklings, by the Inklings that live in these cities are always like 14, right? There could be older ones, but we don't really see them. Besides, like, you know, canonically, we know that all the idols are older, and now the agents are also older because they age. With us, like, they do have parents. We only see art of adult Inklings and Octolings, though. We don't see them at all on game. But yeah, this Salmon Run thing pops up. And it's important for us to talk about the Salmonoids because it's run by this entity called Mr. Grizz. He doesn't show himself. He speaks through like this grizzly bear little statue. There's like a little speaker on it. And it's not confirmed, like, you know, whether he's a real person or not because they can only hear him through this little statue. And he's like, alright kids, you're gonna work for me and get me those eggs. And you'll get your pay or whatever. And like, hunting Salmonoids, by the way, requires a license. He does not have one. It is a very shady operation, but you know, he has the connections, he's still allowed to do this. And because Salmonoids are like, their eggs are very useful for energy, and it's not an infinite supply, you know. And Inklings and Salmonoids kind of have a pact, but Salmonoids are really weird. Like, their society, they fight with like frying pans and stuff. They love cooking, and they think the greatest honor is to be eaten. By others.
That video's so fucking weird, man.
So Mr. Grizz employs these children to work for him, and it's thus like some can die out there. They're like only saved by these like life preservers. They have to be saved by their friends because he takes them out to these far out rigs where they kill waves and waves of Salmonoids. And it's made a point to the fact that they explicitly state that the Salmonoid population is dwindling at the end of Splatoon 2. But there's still Salmon Run in Splatoon 3, so I'm sure it's important in the story, the outcome of that. Mr. Grizz also has his own unregulated weapons, because all the weapons that they use in Turf War have limiters on them, so that you can only use the one special and the one sub. It's stated explicitly that Agent 3 has removed their limiter, so that's why they can use all the specials when they show up as an NPC in the story mode.
I love crime.
Yeah. So, and it's also stated that Inklings are getting concerningly addicted to Salmon Run. A lot are who are participating.
Interesting.
Okay, so now we go to Splatoon 3, where this...
Local child addicted to child.
Now we go to Splatoon 3, we're at the Splatlands, branded as the City of Chaos.
Man,
So that's why...
start off on this side.
That's why all the Inklings and Octolings are going to this city, because everybody knows Chaos won. And this is branded as the City of Chaos, so this is the place to be. So they come over here, and...
I didn't realize, like, a sports team won. Like, hockey or whatever, so it's like, oh, alright, I guess we're moving to this town now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's split... Okay, by the way... Well, let me just finish this, because it's, like, very short for Splatoon 3. So, for all we saw in the trailers, because, you know, I haven't done anything yet, we can see that in the time frame that has passed, it's been, like, 2 years or something, I don't know the exact time. But Agent 3 has now become the captain of Squid League Splatoon. Captain Cuttlefish has retired. And we see Callie and Marie helping them out, and they're going to recruit the new Agent 3, which is the main character in this game, to help them get the Zapfish back, I'm sure, because it's missing again. And we know that the, what's their damn name? Deep Cut are, explicit, or, like, participating in the story in some way. Okay, now, addendum, the stuff that, I just told you all this lore, but the stuff that has the most lore in Splatoon is the music. Every song in Splatoon is canon. All the kids are actually hearing this music as they're playing. Every song has a name, a band attached to it. And there is, like, 80 bands. There are bands that broke up, and the members of those went to join new bands. And all the way get for like those, you have to look at like all the comics or like the exclusive like CDs and stuff that have like these paragraphs that talk about it. Some show like just art, like sketches of the bands and stuff. So yeah, so every song is canon. It has a whole story behind it. There's a different main band for every game. Addendum over. I can't remember anything else.
Addendum over, I don't know.
Yeah. I forgot where I was going with that. But that's pretty much it. You know.
What's this guy shooting?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's confirmed because one of the band members, it says that he's traveled over like 21 countries. So there's many countries and civilizations in the Splatoon world. We only know a small part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the synopsis. What?
You got paid to write all of this shit? Who went like way too far with like a tiny task that was probably given to them just offhand?
Yeah. I don't know, man. But now you know Splatoon story. There you go, you know a synopsis.
I think the most important part of the lore for me was finding that Marina, before she was a pop idol, was a fucking weapon inventor for fucking war and shit.
Yeah, she was a high-ranking officer. Captain Cuttlefish actually recognized her when she was like when they saw the picture of her in the Octarian army. Her name is like Marina Ida or something. I think it was confirmed.
Could you fucking imagine that? Like, oh yeah, this is Selena Gomez. You know, great singer. Also, she worked on the atomic bomb.
Yeah.